Hi everyone and welcome to SOLIDWORKS Model Mania made with Fusion 360. And today we are going to take up the challenge of Model Mania year 2003. Let's get started. I'm going to head up and under File, we're going to create a new design. Let's inspect our 2D drawing. So here I prefer sketching out this profile. Let's start off by creating the left side. I'm going to hit L for line. And let's sketch on our YZ plane, selecting this. Let's drop our first point at the origin. Left click here. And while we are still in the line command, we can create an arc. So to do that, I can simply left click and hold. So going to the right, double left click to end the line chain. Let's head back to our origin once more. Left click here, left click, and create another arc here. Hitting escape. Next, let me add some constraints. I'm going to head up and select tangent and apply a tangent constraint between this arc and this line. Hitting escape and let's add some dimensions. Hitting D. Let me start off by selecting this arc and defining this as 20. Next, let's select this horizontal line and our origin. Place our dimension here. Left click, key in for T. Next, let's dimension this vertical line and this vertical line. Place our dimension here. Key in 50. Next, the distance between this line and this line to be 3. Let's zoom out. And instead of creating the profile of the feature here, let's isolate this one by sketching somewhere around here. Let's start off by hitting C for circle. And the circle at the middle is 25. Let me zoom in, move this dimension over here. And let's create the bolt circle as well, hitting C, placing our center point at the center point of this current circle. Diameter for this one is 46. Let's move our dimension here to be organized. And turn this circle into a construction entity. And the shortcut for construction is hitting X on our keyboard. In addition, this feature is tilted at 15 degrees. Let's first create a line traversing our center point. So I'm going to create a line from here going here. Hitting escape. Let's select this vertical line and our center point with both of these items selected. I can right click and select midpoint. Next, let's create another line to define that angle. Left click here and double left click, hitting escape. Select this line and our center point. Right click and let's select midpoint. Hitting escape and selecting these two lines. Right click and select construction or hitting X. And because this angle will update in phase 2, we're going to name this as a parameter. So hitting D, let's define this angle to be 15, but first naming this to angle equal to 15. Hitting enter and hitting escape. Let's place our dimension here. And let's create the 70 diameter circle as well, hitting C. Placing our center point and keying in 70. Let's move this dimension and place this over here. Same with our 46, 25, and 15. Next, let's move the endpoints of this out of the bounds of 70. And let's create the circle here as well, hitting C. Let's drop this at this intersection. Diameter for this one is 11. In addition, I want you to take note of this dimensions ID, which is D9. We are going to reuse this value when we create the holes. Next, hitting C once more, creating that circle over here. Left click, hitting escape. Let's have this circle and this circle equal with each other. So with both of them selected, I can right click and select equal. Next, let's create some arcs and lines, hitting L. Let's start off at this point. Left click here, left click and hold to create an arc. Left click and hold to create an arc. Left click and hold to create an arc. And left click and hold to create an arc. And let's connect this at this end point. Hitting escape. And let's apply constraints. Let's add a tangent constraint. Heading up, selecting tangent. Applying this to this arc and line. Arc and line. Arc and line. Same with this arc and line. Hitting escape. Let's align the center points of arcs and circles by heading up to constraints once more, selecting concentric, selecting this arc and this circle, this arc and this circle, this arc and this circle, this arc and this circle. Let's now hit D for dimension, and let's dimension this arc to be 12. Placing this one here, keying in 12. And this arc to be 20. In addition, this arc is equal with this arc as well. Same with this arc and this arc. I'm going to hit escape, select this arc and this arc. Right click, selecting equal. And with equal active, selecting this arc and this arc. Hitting escape, and let's inspect our profile by moving them. It's now a whole block or unit. Let me move this dimension over here. Let's now zoom out and grab this center point and bring this sketch over here. Let's zoom in. And with this center point selected, I'm going to hit D for dimension and select our origin. Let's define this to be 110. Next, reselecting this center point and our origin, defining this to be 50. In addition, let's rename this parameter into, by double left clicking and typing length 1 equal to 110. Because this length will vary for phase 2. Hitting escape. Let's move this endpoint coincident with this point But first, let me move this endpoint to the left. Let me zoom in, select this endpoint, and place this coincident at this point. In addition, let's add a tangent constraint by selecting tangent, selecting this line and this arc. Now the feature over here has a thickness of 10. Let me hit O for offset. And let's disable chain selection for now. Select this arc and this line. Let's move the slider up and key in -10. Hitting enter. In addition, let's extend this line going to this line. So I'm going to hit S for our sketch shortcuts, typing EX and selecting extend, selecting this horizontal line. Notice we lost the dimension. I'm going to hit escape and add the dimension here. Keying in 10. It turned into black, meaning it's fully defined. Let's disable dimension, hitting escape, and let's have this point, left click and hold B coincident with this arc. So selecting this point and this arc, right click and select coincident. Let's zoom out, hitting escape. And before we extrude, let me move this end point. Zooming in, let's have this end point and this line be coincident with each other. So right clicking and selecting coincident. Hitting escape. Let's now extrude this profiles, hitting E. And for that specific profiles, let's select this profile, this profile, this profiles, creating a window selection to select these two profiles. And for its thickness, I'm going to key in 10, operation, new body, and let's select OK. Moving forward, let's turn on the visibility of our sketch 1 by selecting this eyeball. And turn off the visibility of body 1 temporarily. Let's now hit E for extrude. Selecting this profiles. This profile and this feature. Let's inspect, pulling this arrow to the right, and for its distance I'm going to key in 50. Let's turn on the visibility of body 1. And for the operation, let's have this join. Selecting OK. Moving forward, let's create the semi-sphere. And let me turn off the visibility of body 1. Our intent here is to revolve half of this circle. Let's now enter sketch mode. I'm going to select this circle. Right click and select edit sketch. Our intent here is to create a revolved feature, so we need to have this line be a solid line. So with this selected, selecting construction, let me now select finish sketch, hit S for shortcuts and typing REV. Selecting this blue revolve. Let's now select profiles. Selecting this half and this profile. And for the axis, left click and select this line. And for the angle, let's change this to 180. Operation to be new body. Let's turn off the visibility of sketch 1 and turn on body 1. Moving forward, let's have this semi-sphere hollow. With that in mind, I'm going to hit S for shortcuts once more and typing SH and selecting shell. But first, let me turn off the visibility of body 1, and I want to not include this face. So selecting this face, and for the thickness, we're going to key in 4. Selecting OK, and let's turn on once more the visibility of body 1. Next, let's remove this material over here. Let me hit S once more for shortcuts, typing CO and selecting combine. Our target body is body 1, tool bodies to be body 2, and for the operation, let's have this cut, and let's keep tools. Selecting OK, and notice we now have this body detached from our previously body 1. So I'm going to select a body 1 once more, right click and remove this. The advantage of selecting remove is we can bring back that previous body, unlike delete, which will be a permanent deletion. Let's now combine these two bodies. So with these two bodies selected, hitting S, typing CO once more, selecting combine, and for the operation this time it will be join. And I'm going to disable keep tools, selecting OK. Moving forward, let's create the hole here. Let's now turn on the visibility of sketch 1, hit E for extrude, and select this circle or circular profile. For the start, I want this to start from this face, and for the extent, I want this to be 2 object, and that 2 object will be up to this face. Once more, operation cut, and let's select OK. Turning off the visibility of sketch 1. Next, let's place the 2 holes here, and let's select this face, right click and select create sketch. My intent here is to project this center points, so hitting P for project, selecting this point and this point, selecting OK and selecting finish sketch. Let's turn off the visibility of sketch 1, typing H for hole. Now for the hole type, this will be counter bore. And for the sketch points, selecting this point and this point. And recall last time, we noted the diameter, which is D9. So I'm going to key in that one here, D9. And for this dimension, this one to be 6.6. The depth of this bore to be 6. And for extents, this one to be all. Selecting OK. Let's apply the hole on this face as well. So selecting this face, right click and selecting create sketch. Let me rotate this view by heading over to our view cube and selecting this curved arrow. Let's grab some points. I'm heading up to create and selecting point, dropping 2 points here, and the second one, hitting D for dimension. The distance between these 2 points horizontally is 20. Selecting our origin and this point, keying in 20. The distance between these 2 points vertically to be 20 as well. And for that 75 over here, I'm going to hit escape and turn on the visibility of sketch 1. And from here, I'm going to hit P for project. Make sure selection filter is specified entities. And selecting this point. Selecting OK. Heading to top view once more, hitting D. Selecting this point and that projected point. Heading to top view once more, placing our dimension here and keying in 75. Selecting finish sketch and turning off the visibility of sketch 1. Let's now hit H for hole and selecting these 2 points. Notice Fusion 360 retained and recalled our previous values for this hole. Selecting OK. Let's now apply fillets, hitting F. And selecting this edges. Zooming in. Selecting this edges. Selecting this edge. This edge. This edge. This edge. Inspecting and the value to be 3. And selecting OK. And before we begin for phase 2, notice that the location of this hole will be updating in phase 2. So with this sketch selected, I'm going to right click, selecting edit sketch, and let me rename this to length 2, which is equal to 75. Hitting enter and selecting finish sketch. And before any unexpected things happen, I saved this as recorded. Let's now update the parameters. Hitting S for shortcuts, typing PARA, selecting change parameters. Let's locate length 1, angle, and length 2. So for angle, it will now be 30. For length 1, 120. And for length 2, it will be 85. Selecting OK. Notice in phase 2, this wall will go over here. And in addition, we will be having an additional curved feature here. With that in mind, let's head to sketch 1 to where it all began. Right-click and selecting Edit Sketch. I'm going to grab our 3-point arc, hitting S for shortcuts, typing ARC, selecting 3-point arc. For the first start point, it will be where this line and this arc meets. So this point, left click at this intersection, left click once more. Let's grab our tangent constraint, select this arc and this line. It turned into black, which means we are on the right track. Let's now select Finish Sketch. Head over to our Extrude 1. Right-click and select Edit Feature. In addition, let's add this profile. And for start, it will be offset plane. I'm going to key in 50. And for the distance, it will be -10. Once more, Operation New Body, selecting OK. Let's check if this is 50, selecting this edge. Confirmed, it is 50. And notice on our timeline, we have an error for hole 1. Let's select hole 1. Right-click and select Edit Feature. Now, it's missing the other sketch point, which is this point. Selecting OK. And finally, for these 2 holes, let's head back to our sketch 3. Right-click and select Edit Sketch. Let's rotate this view. And for this dimension, this one should be 10. Hitting Enter. And selecting Finish Sketch. And for the fillets, I'm just going to delete this or edit that feature. And I think this one, I can leave this up to you. And here's the final completed challenge. Once more, there are many ways to model this challenge. Looking forward to see your interpretations for this challenge as well. Thanks for watching and see you in the next SOLIDWORKS Model Mania made in Fusion 360.